Hello, welcome to the Recognitive channel where we are about learning and relearning. This is a personal project that is sponsored by my free time. In the sport of chess, one thing can be said. Many people don't even think it is a sport. Okay, seriously, when looking at the top players of all time, you can see that men dominate the listing. It is an indisputable fact that in the highest ranked players of all time, you will find more men than women. You have to go down to position 54 to find a woman. Now, let's do a wager. Imagine that you get to join a chess club in a big city in your country. You find in this chess club a group of 50 female players and 50 male players. They are all amateur. Their rating is between 1200 and 1600. In order to join the club, you have to randomly beat one of them, but you do not know anything about their individual rating. You have to choose a player to face you and you want to increase your odds to win. You know nothing else but what has been said in this video. Would you choose a male? Would you choose a female? I give you some time to think about this. Now think again. What did you choose? Male or female? Did you flip a coin? The answer here is not straightforward, but in general, believing that any choice increases or decreases your odds of winning is irrational, and being sure of it implies that you may have been a victim of the essentialism bias. Let's talk about essentialism. In this video, we will talk about a definition of essentialism, the description of the bias, and some research supporting it. Afterwards, we will talk about how this bias affects me and one strategy to overcome it. Let's get started with some philosophy. Just a disclaimer that in this case, as with the previous video, we are dealing with a partly philosophical concept. Accidental properties. They are those that the object could or could not have. In the case of a dog, black hair, pointy ears, hair, and many others. Essential properties are those that the object must have in order to be such object. 4 legs, a pair of ears, paws, canine teeth, a nose, a tail, and many others. If you're catching my drift, you should already notice that more animals could have these essential properties, so then essentialism comes to the rescue. What makes a dog a dog? How can we distinguish it from a wolf? There must be some unobservable or hard to acquire property that makes a dog and a wolf a wolf. The concept of social essentialism is attributed to Gordon Allport. In his work of The Nature of Prejudice, he establishes that there is an essential belief about stereotypes, like the passionate Latin and the soul of the Oriental, among others. It was Susan Gell-Mann, the first one to introduce essentialism as a cognitive bias. It goes around 3 principles. The first one is that the categories used in language and learning are of natural order, meaning they are real and discovered, not invented. The second is that there is an observable property, like a part, substance, or ineffable quality that causes things to be the way they are. The third is that our language and words reflect such structure. Basic level categories of natural kinds and social kinds may do this. Marjorie Rhodes represents this in a bit of a different way for the cognitive bias of social essentialism. Some categories distinguish different kinds of people. The boundaries are strict and absolute. The category members share similarities, but they also share differences to other categories. There is something internal and mysterious that makes them the way they are. Let's see an example. For a chess player, you could be good at chess or bad at chess. You either are good or bad at chess, no gradient. If you're good at chess, you probably are good at math, strategy, you probably are very intelligent. Your chess ability is encoded in your DNA. These are some examples of categories supported by essentialism, and this has consequences, like stereotyping and prejudice. Let's go about now the research supporting the existence of this bias. The SAR piece. The generation of essentialist beliefs seems not to be disputed. The process occurs by the introduction of a label and people creating a belief. At this point, this belief could either be essentialist or not, but you express it when you use the belief in other situations. The new research is more about how this process is influenced and how it can be reduced, as it has been proven that children from the age 4 are susceptible to start forming these beliefs already. The research I found was trying to explore how language plays a role in this process, and I think it's very interesting. The SARPs is a new class of people, and they are designed so they cannot be associated with other pre-existing categories in humans. Then, generic or specific statements are made about these people. This SARP likes to play with balls. SARPs like to play with balls. The conclusions of this research are: adults are more susceptible than children to form essentialist beliefs, but they are still susceptible. Generic language supports the generation of essentialist beliefs, and switching to particular language or specific language has a significant impact in reducing it. Adults will transmit their essential beliefs to their children by the use of generic language. So in other words, this is a social pandemic. How is essentialism different from stereotyping? Essentialism is one of the engines supporting stereotyping, while not the only one. This is probably the greatest support it can have, as of unconscious biases go, as you're going to strongly believe that the stereotypes just are naturally that way. How is this affecting me? I was thinking of one belief that I could have essentialized. The perceived enhanced attachment between children and their biological mothers is something I really thought of. It is, quotation marks, commonly accepted that because of the fetus spends 9 months in the womb, then some special bond is formed. While the biological role and impact of this process is undeniable, and I do not question such bond, I could also say that there is an essentializing component in it. Let's say that I have always considered it as a disadvantage that I can never overcome. But if you think about it, this rings the essentialization bells. Let's see. The best child bond is given between the mother and the child. It is not possible for dads to belong in this, as this bond generates during gestation. And you know that this is the way it is in my culture. Before I continue, let me tell you that I believe that mothers are super important in children development, and I believe mothers may have a stronger attachment in the beginning, as their children were in the wombs. But the point is how we as men can allow such essentialism to act upon us in the remaining time. Let's talk now about the cure to essentialism. Well, there is no cure, but you can help yourself a little bit by challenging yourself and your beliefs, and I will give you a framework to do it. For any category, question their natural value. Are they invented? If people are the way they are, is it because of some intrinsic feature or due to external forces or circumstances? Remember moral luck. Features can be easily changed and are transient and evolving. Categories have low inductive potential, meaning you cannot use them to predict how every individual will be or behave. Categories address superficial features only. The traits are not mutually exclusive, and there is some overlap, and because of this, we can have graded category membership. Now, let's evaluate the video. I consider that I scored a 4. The weak points. The example I gave was not very precise, but the challenge that I'm facing is that I didn't know these concepts before, so looking at them in hindsight is a little bit hard. And the other point in this video was that I'm actually addressing a sensitive topic, but to be honest, how can you avoid that? This is pretty much about prejudice and discrimination. So let's move on. And now we turn to our roulette for the topic of the next video. And the winner is bias blind spot. Yoo! Wait, again, I have something more to say. You might still be confused about our wager in the beginning of the video. When I quoted the best 10 players, I did that on purpose. I have done what many people do. They extrapolate the performance of the best to the average, to the general public. The club that you were going to join was coming from a general population, not from the top players in the world. So it was incorrect to use that information as relevant in any decision you would make. It would be essentialist to consider males are better than females in chess because of just some genetic advantage that you don't really know what it is or where it comes from. See you in the next episode. This is the Recognitive channel. Thank you for watching.